Dear students, in this lecture I am going to discuss with you about the contractionary monetary policy. Fiscal policy, contractionary fiscal policy. In the previous lecture, which I have uploaded on YouTube, I have discussed about the expansionary fiscal policy, the policy which is used to check the recession in the economy or to control the unemployment in the economy. And if suppose we say that the economy is running through the booms, if the economy is going through or passing through the boom or the economic growth is very high, although countries they always try to achieve the high growth rates, but sometimes growth becomes very unstable because of the ups and downs, economic huge increase and then again fall creates the problems for the economy. So that's why economists they are constantly watching the ECG report of the economy, the business cycle graphs of the economy, and timely they are giving doses or injections, or they are taking certain measures to control these ups in the economy or the high speed of the economy. This kind of the policy is creating, just simply we say, the speed breakers for the fast economic growth, because the purpose of this policy is to control the inflation. So I am writing here the definition of the contractionary fiscal policy is contractionary fiscal policy is that policy, that demand side policy this is also the demand side policy, and it is also the budget policy which is used, this policy is used to control booms or inflation in the economy. The major purpose of this policy is to control the inflation rate, the price level in the country, that prices are rising very fast. So, and the reason that the prices are rising is that the economists they are thinking that the aggregate demand is very high. So through this policy, economists they try to reduce that aggregate demand, and when this aggregate demand falls, ultimately the prices also falls. So how or what are the tools which are used in the contractionary fiscal policy? Or we also call this one the deflationary fiscal policy, that through this one the government tries to reduce the price levels. Here in this policy, government decreases. In the last class we have discussed that government increases in the expansionary fiscal policy. We have discussed that government increases, but here we say that G, which is the part of the GDP equal to CIG and net of the exports. So this one G, the government expenditure will decrease. Government will decrease its expenditure. It means no new projects will be started or few projects will be started as compared to the previous year or previous time, and or tax rate and or increase tax rate. Government increases the tax rate. It means when government decreases its expenditure, it means no new projects, means no new jobs, means people have little amount, or when people face difficulty to find out the jobs, or people don't have the jobs, means they don't have the income, so they will not demand the goods. So it will reduce the pressure on the aggregate demand. Or when government enhances or increases the tax rate, it also decreases the disposable income of the people. Is in the previous class I have said that, just suppose as 100 rupee is the income. If a person has the 100 rupee income and previously 20 rupees or 20% was the tax rate, so when we minus the 20% from the 100 or 20 rupees from the 100, we have 80. So a person is 80 rupees to spend or save or wherever the person uses that money. When government increases the tax rate, we say suppose 25% is the tax rate now. What happens now? We have to minus 25 from 100. Income is same, but only tax increases. So now the person is 75%, 5 rupees less as compared to the previous disposable income. It means when disposable income decreases, it decreases the aggregate demand of the people. So through this policy, government controls or reduces the aggregate demand, and ultimately when aggregate demand declines, it reduces the price level. It decreases the price level in the economy. So that's why we say it's the contractionary policy, fiscal policy, or deflationary fiscal policy. The purpose of this policy is to reduce the aggregate demand level and to control the prices in the economy. What happens when there is a government uses this contractionary policy? Means government expenditure decreases and government revenue will increase. Why the government expenditure decreases? Because government has already announced to reduce the expenditure, and government has also increased the tax rate, and the tax is the major source of the government's revenue. So when expenditure side is less than the revenue side, we have, just suppose I say that government has now 100 rupees expenditure and 110, just we assume that 110 rupees is their revenue. It means government has 10 rupees, 110, here you have to add 10 rupees to make it 110. So 10 rupee is the additional amount. This is plus 10 rupees is a surplus, so we have this surplus budget. It means when your expenditure is less than your revenue, less than your revenue side, so we have the budget surplus. So it creates the budget surplus where expenditure is less than revenue. So government has more income as compared to its revenue sides when the surplus amount or the remaining amount of the revenue will be spent, government will spend that money to repay the loans which are the obligations to on the government. So this is the discussion about the fiscal policy, contractionary fiscal policy, and in the previous class we have discussed the expansionary fiscal policy. Another fiscal policy is the discretionary fiscal policy or automatic stabilizer. There is a term, automatic stabilizer. Taxes plays the role of the automatic stabilizer, income tax. And another is unemployment benefits. And any other benefit which government has already announced, but transfer payments, especially we use the term transfer payments, but tax is acting as an automatic stabilizer. It's not necessary that always government announces the contractionary or expansionary fiscal policies. Without announcing these policies, the already announced income tax rates, the regressive income tax rate, if the income of the people rises, automatically the tax rate which is prevailing there will reduce the income level of the people, because when income rate rises, tax rate also rises. So it automatically cut the major increase in the income of the people. Or another factor that when there is a depression or recession, there is unemployment, means people don't have the income. So because of their low income, they will be unable to buy any good or service or goods or services. But in some countries, unemployment benefits are given to the unemployed people. So when a person loses a job, the person receives some sort of the income, and that income can be used people are using that income to buy the different goods just to boost up the economy, to just work properly in the recession situations, and it will help the economy to recover from the recession. So thank you for listening this class. In this video class, I have tried to explain the contractionary fiscal policy and that policy which is used by the policy makers. This is the demand side policy, and this policy is affecting the aggregate demand, and the tools which are the part of this policy is the government expenditure and the taxes. Again, in this policy, when government is willing to use or government announces the contractionary policy, it means government may decrease the expenditure or increases the tax rate. So through this method, government put the pressure on the aggregate demand to decrease, because expenditure decreases means new jobs will not be created or no new jobs will be there. So there will be unemployment or people have less income. When tax rate increases, it means there will be reduction in the disposable income. Again, when disposable income falls, people have less amount of the money to spend on the goods. So ultimately it will reduce the aggregate demand and the price level. So thank you for listening.